Welcome to the podcast radio show with me, Ben Lister. Today's episode is episode 7 with Lehman, Lehman and Ashley Noble. We chat about their career and all that. So yeah, really hope you enjoy it. The Lehman Show, it's the intro. Here we go. Here's my interview with DJ Ashley Noble from The Lehman Show and Lehman, the leader of The Lehman Show, who's now at Hull Kingston Radio with me. So yeah, I'll see you for the wrap-up. My next episode will be with Kim Harrison, which I'll explain in the wrap-up. So yeah, thank you. And here's my interview with Lehman and DJ Ashley Noble from The Lehman Show.
Just count us in when we're ready.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another podcast. It's 2021. We are in lockdown, and welcome to episode 7 of 2021 of the Ben Lister Podcast Radio Show here on Hull Kingston Radio 107.4 FM. And in previous episodes, we had Stephanie Hurst and Sean Goldsmith and Patrick Billington and Radio Humbersad's very own Lucy Clark and broadcaster Dan Murfitt. And last time we had motoring journalist Paul Woodford, plus many more great guests we have had over the years. But today we have two legends from The Lehman Show and Lehman Radio and The Lehman Podcast. It's the mighty Lehman and the man he is mentoring. It's DJ Ashley Noble, also from Lehman Radio. Hello, gents. How are you?
Yes. I'm good, thank you, Ben. How are yourself?
I'm brilliant doing a podcast. I love these guys.
Ben?
I love you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And I'm doing grand as well.
Excellent. That's brilliant to hear.
Yes.
Just to let you know, I've got 5 questions for you each about your respective lines of work. Lee, your 5 questions are first. Are you ready to rumble?
Why did you pick me first, Ben?
Because yours was on the list already. And
Yes, absolutely. The
let's do it.
Lehman is ready. Fire away.
I was originally expecting Gabe as well, but Noble's better.
Oh, fired a shot there at my co-host Gabe.
Well,
You better watch your back now, Ben.
I have put my best shirt on today.
Excellent, guys. Question 1. Where did your journey with podcasting start and how did it begin?
Okay, that's quite a difficult question. Well, it started a couple of years ago. I've always been interested in broadcasting, but getting into broadcasting is quite difficult because, it's obviously usually an employed status. So we decided to jump onto the internet mania at the time of podcasting, and we picked YouTube as our platform. And I was basically sat there with this idea that I wanted to do this show where we talked about topical situations and things that were in the news, but with a bit of satirical value to it to make it a little bit more humorous and funny. And I approached Gabe and I said, Gabe, this is the idea I have. Would you want to do it with me? Because it'd be nice to have a bit of banter with a co-host. And that's how it started. We decided to record audio first, and now we record videos, and, we've expanded.
You had one of my colleagues on who presents at this station a few weeks ago, Wolfie O'Hare. Well,
Wolfie is such a lovable character. And I think the very first time I met Wolfie, I think I liked him straight away. He'd actually invited us onto commercial radio. We'd received 3 Ofcom warnings previously because our podcast itself isn't actually suitable for commercial radio. So we did get a few warnings, but Wolfie, what an amazing character. And I'm perfecting my impression of him at the moment.
he's brilliant. I've been lucky enough to be interviewed by him. Your first interview, I think, with him was with Red Eye Phoenix.
Yeah, that's correct. He interviewed Steve Red Eye Phoenix from Hull Beats Bus. And obviously, I'm friends with Steve. And he told me that he's going into the radio station. So I said, oh, do you mind if I sit in with you? Because I'm there the very next morning. And that's how we ended up in there together.
Yeah, and I know Steve, he was the first ever face, and Sean McAllister was the first ever people I interviewed back in 2 years ago now for my first ever podcast.
Wow, that's good because that's strange. Our first guest, our first celebrity guest was actually Steve Red Phoenix. And we interviewed him after he did that film with Sean McAllister, A Northern Soul.
A Northern Soul, yeah, I loved it. I went to a cinema screening of it in Beverley.
I was lucky enough to get a signed copy from Steve.
That's very good.
Wicked.
Question 2. Who were your inspirations starting out in your career in the early days?
Well, my career has taken so many turns in life. So I started off as a DJ, became a club promoter, set up Lehman promotion. So we did massive parties all around Hull. And then I became a nightclub manager. My inspirations would be, I like comedy. So I've got a lot of back in the days. So when you look at the things like the young ones, Ben Elton, so comedians who broadcasted to people, they would so often satirize real life situations. And I suppose that is where my inspiration came from. I loved listening to people talk, and I also love talking myself.
That's a brilliant trait to have in radio, because you need to talk to get the viewers and let the viewers listen, because sometimes the difference between commercial radio and commute and local radio is the BBC have to talk more because it paid by the license fee, and where on local / commercial radio, commercial / community radio, you get more adverts, but you also get the community vibe and local vibe.
Right. That's right. I think the Lehman have now become Z-list celebrities, Ben.
Will you ever go on? Are you allowed on BBC Radio Humberside?
Do you know what's funny? I think that was brought up. We was actually thinking of at one point before lockdown, obviously, of actually hijacking BBC Radio Humberside, just walking in, hijacking somebody's show, because we often do that now and again, and it brings a lot of laugh and a community spirit together.
It does, yeah. I've seen you do that a few times. My first talk with Noble.
Yes.
You hijacked that.
That's good. Tell me, question 3. Tell me a little bit about Lehman Radio.
All right. So obviously our background is music, DJ performance. We knew a lot of DJs in the local area who were broadcasting onto Facebook, but Facebook has sort of like rights, and they can often shut people down. And so we decided to set up an internet radio station called Lehman Radio, and it gives all the up-and-coming DJs and artists a platform to broadcast themselves on and hopefully move on to bigger and better things.
Wow. That's brilliant. Question 4. What is the greatest moment so far in your career, your greatest achievement or standout moment?
My greatest moment has to be appearing on Ben the Podcast Show.
It's actually called the Ben Lister Podcast Radio Show.
Oh, God, here you go, correcting the layman. Look, there's a reason we are called the layman. We are uneducated and ill-informed. But I suppose one of the greatest moments in our career, I think it would be going to Edinburgh Fringe. And we met some friends there. We met a lot of celebrities there. We managed to get some pictures. And then Edinburgh Fringe said next time we go, which was meant to be this year, we would have been given VIP passes, which would have given us a lot more option to get behind the scenes with people.
Yeah, I remember watching a Look North section of the Edinburgh Fringe.
Yeah.
And Kofi was in Edinburgh.
Yeah, that's right. Kofi was there. And a friend of mine, Pres 96, which is Nigel, he was doing a theatre play. And that made it national. It made it really big. And he was in Edinburgh at the same time.
Yeah, I think I know Nigel because he's a musician, but he also, correct me if I'm wrong, he also did some window work as well for a bit.
I'm not sure about that. I just know him as a musician, producer, actor.
Yeah, he might have fitted double glazing, you never know.
Everest fit the best.
He did a music video at the Kingston Youth Centre on Beverley Road.
Right. I'm not sure about that, Ben. I think it's something I may have overlooked because we ourselves, we found that being podcasters, it's not just a meeting up once a week and doing things. We're constantly doing things.
Question 5. Where do you see yourself in the future, and what advice would you give to young aspiring podcasters like me or you who are starting out?
Okay, where do I see myself in the future? I see us becoming a bit more exposed. We definitely, possibly, may go on to commercial radio. I'd understand we'd have to tone back. And I think the advice I would give anybody who thinks about starting podcasting is go for it and don't stop. Because when we started, we were not getting any views or any comments. But now, on Facebook, for example, we've got a private group on there with over 1,700 people. And it's such a lovely place to be. Everybody's nice to each other. There's no animosity. And our podcasts get lots of lovely comments now. I walk down the street and people shout Lehman at me and I just wave. So I think if you're starting out, get yourself a computer, get yourself a microphone. It doesn't have to be the best, and start. And go onto YouTube, have a look at other podcasters and pick up some tips. Give it your everything.
Exactly.
I did have an idea at one point. Bus radio where you have a radio thing on a bus, interview someone on a bus like Jenny's or something.
You see, that's not a bad idea. The only problem I can see with that is recording sound. But I suppose a couple of lapel mics might sort that out. But that's not a bad idea. You'd have to plan your journey. So, get on a bus and take them to Blackpool or something so you've got enough time.
Parking the bus up at night as well. And keeping
I think he's on about commercial. Are you on about commercial buses, Ben? Like normal buses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm with you now.
Because I was on an East Yorkshire one a couple of months ago now, and it just popped into my head.
It's not a bad idea, Ben. Try it out. I think we always have in our daily lives, we always come up with these ideas, but we never sort of like pull through with them. But you will never know unless you actually put one of these ideas into effect.
Exactly.
You and you should get yourselves a bus tattooing Lehman radio on it.
Do you know what? It was an idea. We actually did look at getting a bus and putting a studio in it and then traveling round and podcasting from the bus. And also we'd be able to go to the guests.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I work for Hull Kingston Radio, but I'm always free to do any live events if you would like me to ever. I'm always free to do interviews.
Yeah, I mean, this year, obviously, because of this COVID lockdown, things went a bit pear-shaped. But we were meant to be doing Humber Street Sesh with our own stage. But yeah, you're more than welcome to come down, interview people, maybe even get up on stage and introduce an act.
Would you?
Yeah, you never
Will
know.
I get? Is there a payment for it?
Right, Ben, I will pay you with a kebab.
Nice.
Yes.
Right now, Lee, that's it from you.
Thank you very much, Ben. It's been a pleasure. I'll
Now
just hang
we're
around
on-
in the background,
Now we're
behind the true celebrity.
now we're on to legendary DJ Ash Noble. Hello, Ashley.
Yo, what's going down?
It's your time to shine.
It is indeed.
You ready to rumble in the jungle?
I was born ready to rumble, Ben.
Let's begin. Question 1. What is your greatest moment in your career so far? Your greatest achievement or standout moment?
Well, actually, I've got two. I've got two greatest moments. And the first one was the first time that I ever saw my name on an event poster to MC in a nightclub, because I was sort of expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it at the same time. So when I saw my name there on that poster, it just lit something up inside of me. I had a massive smile. And I remember at the time running downstairs to my nan, who I was living with at the time. And I was like, look at this. I'm actually on the poster. And it was for Dave Fallows' local event Stomping. He put me on in 2019. I believe it was the 25th of May, and it was just a buzz to see my name on that poster. And my second ever greatest achievement and moment was actually just about a week and a half ago on a Sunday at 6 p.m. when I released and put out my new track with the Jigger Man called Good Life. That's one of my most favorite songs that I've ever wrote. The bars that I wrote for that track was just outstanding for me, and it was like something changed inside of me where I was writing something real from the heart. And Leighton sat beside me, put the video together for us, and he spent about 3 days on it. And all in all, we just put so much effort into that track. Like, I'd never spent so much time on one track. I think it was round about Halloween time last year when we first had the idea to do the track with the Jigger Man. And me and Jigger Man, we've had so many backwards and forwards phone calls going over the track. And like I say, I've never spent so much time on one track, but it felt so good when it was all mastered. The levels were correct. And when you listen to it, it just sounds like something you would hear on the commercial radio. So let's hope it gets played on there one day.
You never know, it could get played after this interview on my show. I'll have to ask Pete Mills there. Millsy,
that
You
would be
never know.
amazing,
It
wouldn't
would
it?
be amazing. It really would.
Millsy, if you're listening, play Noble's track. He'll send it over to you and I'll put you in touch with him.
Wonderful.
Yes, thank you.
Question
Yes.
3. Where do you see yourself in the future?
Where do I see myself in the future? Hopefully back on the stages after the lockdown. Obviously, doing more tracks with the Jigger Man, maybe
Yes.
doing tracks with some other people as well. And just to be still going, really. I mean, if I'm still waking up each day and I've still got my pages on the social media and I'm still, going live and having people watching me and people listening to my tracks, then I'll be happy. I just love music in general. So, if I don't ever become the biggest person in the world, which I, probably won't ever happen, but I'm happy to do what I do, have the friends and the people that I know, and just to be able to make the music and enjoy the love of the beats.
Yeah, that's a brilliant objective for the future, Noble. You're going to go far, I think.
Yeah, well, I
we
hope
hope.
I hope
Yeah.
I do well.
Yeah, I mean, tell them about the 100,000 views.
Yeah. So basically, I was doing a live stream. Can't remember what it was on now, but I was doing a live stream or something. I think a radio show. It was maybe my Monday show, and I'd come off the live, and my phone had quite a few messages. I was wondering what these messages were, and so I read these messages, and someone had messaged me to say that I'd been featured on this page called The New Monkey, which, if you don't know what The New Monkey is, it's an old event that used to run years ago up north. It's for sort of like raving Makina music. And I think they had their own nightclub, which did sadly shut down and eventually get knocked down. But they still have the page on Facebook and they share like memories of the old nights. And I think a few DJs go live on that page as well. So I'd been posted onto this page, so I checked out to see if it was true. And the views have just been growing and growing, which is mad. Like, I'll check one day and it's like 10,000 views. Then, I'd maybe check a couple of hours later and it's gone up to 15,000 views, and it just grew and grew. But not only that, I've also been featured on some TikTok pages as well, and they've been growing with some amazing views as well. And it's just crazy, to think that you just do something so simple like putting your camera on, saying a few bars over a little beat, and then boom, you get all these people watching and the views going crazy.
Yeah, you're brilliant, Noble.
Yeah, it's definitely a shock to think that many people would want to sit there and watch you.
Yeah,
you know.
What's it like? I know you're autistic because you told me a few times. What's it like? Explain to the listeners what's it like being a DJ with autism.
Well, it's not too much different to being a normal DJ, but you do get a bit more hate from people, maybe because of the way you look or because of my autism. I'm quite a fiddly person, so I've always got to be holding something, whether it's like swinging a little chain around or if it's like, I don't know, fiddling with a pen or pencil in my hand, like I can't stay still. So I've always got to be moving. But I mean, I get a lot of love from people, but I suppose people that don't really know me and, you know, they maybe watch me for the first time, you can get a lot of hate comments. I mean, over the past 6 years, I've been going, well, about 5.5 years now, I've been emceeing and DJing properly. I've had quite a few really harsh comments, people telling me to jump off bridges and, you know, telling me to end my life. I've had my family taking the mick out of. I remember a couple of years ago, I was doing a live stream at a house party, and I was getting some hate comments in the chat room at the live party, but so was people in the background of the party, like these haters. They were hating people who was also at the party as well. But I did originally start DJing in late 2013. Before I became an MC, it was my passion to be a DJ. And in 2014, I started properly. I'd got some equipment for Christmas, and I got quite a lot of hate from it, to the point where I actually did give up, and I sold all the equipment one by one, disco lights, controller, till I had nothing. But then when I started the MCing in 2015, I came back at a different angle and knew not to give up.
You're a legend, mate. I've had haters trying to wreck my career before. But
Yeah, you've just got to learn to ignore them, take it on the chin.
They're just jealous of your talent.
At the end of the day, they are. They've not got something interesting happening in their lives, so they try and think, well, you know, if my life's bad, why can't his life be bad? So then they try and bring you down to their level by hating on you, and then they think, you know, he's going to give up, or, you know, he's going to start crying about it, but you've just got to take it on the chin.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to just rise above it.
Exactly, especially if it's your passion. If you know deep down it's what you want to do, what you want to continue to do, you've got to fight through it.
And now look at you. You can say to them,
exactly. And if you do ignore them, after a while they will actually get bored and they'll just stop. But sometimes I find it, if you argue back with them, it gives them more fire to keep going, and it just causes unnecessary arguments. I've seen hate comments before where I've thought, you know what, I really want to have a massive go at this guy and call him every name under the sun. And sometimes I have done, and it's caused unnecessary arguments that, you know, have created like thousands of comments on a post that has just gone on, and other people have got involved, and it's just turned into something, you know, really unneeded. Whereas I've had other hate comments where I've just sort of laughed it off and ignored it, and I've never heard from the guy again.
Send the haters to Lee. He'll sort them out. He'll turn them into lovers.
Do you know what, Ben? Well, do you know what, Ben? I was just going to mention that. I said regarding haters, we got a few at the beginning, but you're right. We deal with them on point, and we deal with them in a clever way. We'll use our minuscule intelligence and banter to bring them down.
Yeah, definitely.
Question 5. What advice would you give to young aspiring DJs like yourself who are starting out?
As far as advice would go, don't give up. It's so easy to DJ nowadays. I mean, you can do it just from a computer. You know, you can just put free software onto your PC. There's plenty of websites to get free music, so it's easy enough to sort of get into DJing. But you've just got to keep going. Like I say, ignore hate comments. If you know it's something that you really want to do, just keep going with it. keep mixing, keep improving. Definitely, if you are starting out into DJing, don't start DJing and then 2 weeks later go and buy the most newest and expensive equipment out there, because you aren't going to know exactly fully what to do. And obviously you've got to keep learning. I mean, currently at the moment, I've got the Newmark MDX 500 CDJs and the Newmark M6 4-channel mixer. And these CDJs, they're really, really good CDJs, especially for beginners. And they do a lot of things that Pioneer CDJs can do. And the main thing you want to do on a piece of equipment is mix. I mean, these will take USB. You can put CDs in. You can connect them to computers, but they just don't have all the effects like, say, a Pioneer would do. But you're paying half of the price of what you would pay for something like Pioneers. So it's not about having the biggest and the best equipment, because I've had these CDJs now for just over a year, and they've done me very proud. I've done many radio shows on them, many live streams. But aside from these CDJs, you can go even cheaper with your equipment. You can get little controllers.
Yeah.
I know Leeton ordered one on eBay not too long back. It's really little, small,
pocket controller,
little pocket controller. Yeah. And I know because I did have one years ago, and they still work as well, although you can't do loads of things on them when you are just starting out, when you just want to experiment with beats.
Definitely.
They work. Do you know what I mean?
That's right. I mean, so it'll only cost you about £60
exactly
to get started.
Exactly.
And then you'll know whether you're getting into it.
Yeah, so start off with something cheap, so you're not, getting this massive amount of equipment that's costing you thousands, and then 2 weeks later you're putting it on stuff for sale in Kingswood,
Right, that's it for another podcast here on Hull Kingston Radio 107.4 FM on the Ben Lister Podcast Radio Show. Join me next time when I chat to Radio Humberside's newest signing, the lovely Kim Harrison. But for now, please give it up for Lee the Podcaster and DJ Ash Noble.
Yes, check out the Lehman Show on Facebook and YouTube.
Yes, definitely. There is one thing I just want to say before we end. I don't like to drag and bring people down, but I do believe you missed my question too.
Yes, I did. I noticed that, but I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to come across as unprofessional or experienced.
We'll cut that out later.
Yeah, just sort it in the editing.
Yeah.
Pete, edit this bit out, would you?
Yeah, go on, Pete. Get on Vegas Pro.
Thank you for listening, and that's
It's
a wrap.
It's been a pleasure, Ben. It's been a pleasure. We look forward to
hearing from you
talking
again.
to you again sometime.
That was my interview with DJ Ashley Noble, episode 7 of the podcast radio show. Brilliant interview it was. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Loads more coming up. I'll have the Kim Harrison interview later on. Then I'll have the Jed Salisbury interview for my chat box series, and then I'll have the Angela and Mike mental health special, and then I'll try and get some more uploaded tomorrow. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and whatever you do. I'm trying to get as many podcasts per day out, but at the moment I'm only at 4, so please bear with me. Thank you very much for watching, and that's a wrap.